I'm honoured to introduce David Moritz, who is the head of product at IAG Loyalty. So David is a self-confessed Avios geek. After building an impressive portfolio in leadership and development of digital products, both in the UK and Australia, and some impressive brands like Zoopla, Aesop, Amazon and Tesco, and 15 years of e-commerce, digital product and digital marketing experience. David joined IAG Loyalty as head of product in November 2021. So today, the talk is titled Dispelling the Myths of Ancient Tech in the Travel Industry. David, thanks for joining us at DevLab today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Alice. How are you?
I'm super excited about all the talks today. So yeah, David, I'll jump straight into it with some of the tech stack stuff. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the tech stack the people at IAG Loyalty get to play with.
Of course. So let's start with who we are. So IAG Loyalty is the home of the Avios currency, and we serve 35 million plus members worldwide who spend over £40 billion each year collecting Avios. So our goal is to make the currency as easy as possible to earn and redeem via the 200 plus global collection partners that we drive acquisition and enhanced redemption for. So we're part of IAG, International Airlines Group. We were founded as Air Miles in 1988 and then became Avios in 2011. We've got over 30 years experience in loyalty. IAG Loyalty manages the British Airways Executive Club, Iberia Plus, Vueling Club and the Aer Lingus Air Club, as well as all the retail, travel and financial services partners of the Avios currency. So before I dive into the technical piece, so some fun facts. We've got members in nearly every corner of the world. Thousands of our members have become Avios millionaires. We've got more than 3,000 Avios that are collected every second. E-store collectors, that's our shopping portal, 3 times more Avios than the average Avios collector. 10,000 members donated 95 million Avios to the NHS during the pandemic. New York's been the most popular city to fly to. 1.1 billion Avios have been gifted. One member even gave away 2.7 million Avios. In fact, more than 15 million reward seats have been redeemed, taking members to sunny and snowy holiday destinations all around the world. And finally, our members have collectively saved close to £500 million in their flights with the Pay with Avios feature that we've got. So talking about our tech and starting from the top, we've completely re-platformed our B2C product offering for loyalty management and collecting Avios. Our applications provide a single platform service to multiple airlines and non-airline partners and their customers. We've made a complete cloud migration, giving us flexibility in our development methods, as well as cost-effective compute power and storage. Our business operates in a faster and more effective way due to the process changes that we've made. Our collection platform offers an online and in-store collection mechanic for thousands of major retailers across multiple sectors. This increases ease and breadth of collection to make the currency relevant to many customer segments, not just those frequent flyers. Our purchase product enables members to top up their balance or gift to others to reach their reward goal. Our exchange product enables our members to consolidate their loyalty currency from other programs to make the Avios their home of loyalty. And our core loyalty products offer an extensive menu of services across membership, currency, pricing, and data. They're accessible to our partners through microservices, enabling easy integration to create full loyalty solutions in the products, apps, and channels. Members, that's collectors and redeemers of the points, can enroll, manage their profile, invite friends and family, and create household accounts to pool their benefits with their membership product. The currency also creates an easy way to earn and redeem via statements, as well as enjoy additional benefits through vouchers and campaign offers. Our partners can offer a range of fixed and dynamic personalized Avios price options for commercial and distressed inventory travel products through our pricing service, and our data products deliver real-time data to our partners to facilitate event-driven customer notifications, data synchronization with CRM platforms, and they feed data lakes to power BI, analytics, reporting, and billing. So the club I manage looks after many of the products I just mentioned that span across our 4 operating companies. So that's BA, Iberia, Aer Lingus, and Vueling, including the e-store. So that's the ability to earn Avios whenever you shop with the likes of John Lewis or M&S, or book a hotel with Expedia or Booking.com, for example. Under shopping, we've also got card linking, or CLO, where our members in the UK and Ireland can earn Avios when they link their credit or debit cards and shop the likes of Jojo Mama Baby, Harvey Nichols, or Dinah Gaucho. We also look after the exchange mechanisms between Avios and Nectar, BP and Avios, and more recently the Qatar Privilege Club and Avios, and not forgetting our freshly relaunched MasterCard 0% FX fee card. We also have a dedicated platform team that look after the back-end technologies that syndicate offers onto our e-store and card linking partners. So our teams get to work with some really interesting tech stacks. TypeScript or JavaScript and Terraform are the most common across our clubs, with the majority using serverless frameworks. Postgres, RDS, and Amazon Web Service, so that's DynamoDB, S3, SSM, SMS, Lambda, and API Gateway, to name a few, are the tech stacks the team get to play with daily. All teams use Datadog for logging, monitoring, Snyk for security auditing, and SonarCloud for code analysis. Our platform team works in a truly cross-functional way with all developers across the various clubs, contributing to infrastructure, back-end, and front-end platforms. They frequently discuss requirements with the business to create the best solution for the job to be done. Most of the teams use Bitbucket for pipelines and deployment. And if I think about some of the really interesting things that the Collect.com team are working on, so eStore, for example, right now, we're currently in a migration phase, moving to a full micro front-end architecture. This means we're moving a legacy JavaScript monorepo to a TypeScript micro architecture. So code quality, super important for us. We go through a very slick process to not only ensure that we deliver quickly, but that our standards are exceeded. We go through the normal code review process, so that's manual and automated, but also inherently build in proactive monitoring into our deployments. So this means that in the rare instance when something isn't quite right, we usually know about it before it impacts our customers.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks for that, David. And can you share a little bit how it's what it's like to work at IAG Loyalty and how you like to work there?
Yeah, of course. So I honestly feel really privileged to work with so many amazingly talented people here at IAG Loyalty. As technically still a newbie, I've only been here 7 months. I've inherited and built a really strong team, and I've been supported at all levels within the business. In terms of how we organize, our teams are built around values rather than skills, which gives them the autonomy to product engineer and create core engineering approach to product management that ensures that our services and support models evolve at the same pace. IAG Loyalty has been on a digital transformation since 2018, so it's a whole scale across the entire company, and it's moved us from a heritage business to loyalty pioneers by providing a platform, delivery methods, ways of working, culture, and structure to enable us to get more value in front of our customers faster. So we're also on an 18-month organizational-wide move to agile ways of working. This is driven by a firm belief that we can deliver greater value to the customer if we adopt not only agile practices, but critically an agile mindset. It's something in the tech product world is deeply ingrained, but what's quite unique for us is the wholesale adoption in a business that wasn't agile by nature and has multiple dependencies and interfaces with opcos, so that's the airlines, and our partners, some of whom work this way and others who don't. So in just over 18 months, we've made so much progress, and there are parts of the approach that I see as really unique. For example, we've created a cross-functional network called the Agile Coaching Community, made up of colleagues who had mixed agile experiences. We've invested in their development, and they now support the business with facilitation, ideation, process improvement, identifying risks and dependencies. One of our advantages is that we are an agile company embedded within a huge organization, that's IAG, that allows us to be nimbler, fail fast, and try new things. I mean, we've got a few examples of this in action, one being the Avios Boost campaign that we ran over the festive period last year, which rewarded e-store shoppers for shopping more frequently via e-store for a 6-week period. So in an effort to ensure that this launched on time, the team delivered the thinnest slice that would deliver the maximum value by ensuring members were rewarded for their increased spend. Another more recent example is the prepaid MasterCard relaunch, where that team launched to a closed beta of BA cabin crew and IAG Loyalty employees during the summer of 2021, so a period when people weren't really flying that much. Yeah. They took on board, no pun intended, the learnings from the data and use these to shape the MVP for launch this year. So this product is still evolving. We've been live about 6 weeks, and we've been guided by the member feedback, transactional data, and habitual insights to further guide that roadmap. And what's really exciting here is we haven't really got a fully fleshed out roadmap. We really want to see where the markets and the trends are taking us.
Cool. And David, you've touched on this a little bit. Obviously, you're famous for being in airline loyalty, but do you work in any other areas or industries?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So the beauty of Avios as a currency is that our members can collect and redeem Avios through our non-airline partners or exchange partners without actually flying with our airlines. So in January 2021, we launched our partnership with Sainsbury's Nectar. This partnership gives members the opportunity to convert Nectar points into Avios and the other way around, and plan for some truly incredible travel memories. So fun fact, members who have converted Nectar into Avios have collectively traveled on enough reward flights to travel around the world 20,000 times. So that shows just how valuable that partnership is to our members. And that team also won Best Loyalty Program Marketing Campaign at the International Loyalty Awards for the launch campaign with Nectar. We also have our exchange partnership with BP. So that's where members can transfer BP Me points into Avios. And of course, we've got our long-standing credit card partnerships around the world, allowing members to earn Avios whenever they swipe or tap their credit cards or transfer from the likes of American Express membership rewards into Avios. We've always focused on the growth of collect and reward options to deliver the value and relevance to our members. However, as loyalty pioneers, we provide a broad choice to multi-collect with everyday spend across multiple touch points and increase the range of rewards and experiences where members redeem their Avios. As we've evolved our platform, we've been able to provide our products and services to partners either as a full loyalty solution or as discrete products that can enrich their loyalty programs. In addition, we also have the Connect Club that powers the in-flight Wi-Fi and in-flight entertainment services across our fleet. The other big one that I've already mentioned is the newly relaunched prepaid MasterCard. So this is our foray into the world of prepaid cards that allows our base to earn Avios whenever they spend in the UK or overseas.
Cool. And obviously, you've just touched on that then with the prepaid MasterCard that is like relatively new. But what else does what does the future look like for IAG loyalty?
Yeah, so the future is really bright. We've got a load of exciting new partnerships coming up in the next few years that unfortunately I can't talk about right now, but we also have plans to revolutionize the way our members collect and redeem Avios, making those journeys even more habitual and frictionless. We're in growth mode at a time where loyalty plays an even larger part than ever before with our consumers. And we've got stretching plans, interesting products, and a hunger to pioneer, which all are ingredients for an exciting place to work. I'm actually really proud of how the team is growing, and I'm actively looking to bring in more of the best people to drive even more value for millions of our members and hundreds of our global partners that we already have.
And obviously, you've touched on this again, but David, can you share a little bit about yourself, your career history, and how you ended up at IAG Loyalty?
Yeah, of course. I think, as you said in the intro, I'm a self-declared geek. I love all things technical. I'm a marathon runner, a fitness fanatic, love traveling. Unfortunately, I'm able to start traveling again post-pandemic and have a passion for wine, coffee, cooking, and modern jazz. I grew up in Hertfordshire, which is where I am now. Took a gap year in Asia and Australasia, which was over 20 years ago now. Studied business and finance at the University of Brighton. Got married to my husband, also called David, almost 10 years ago, and have had some amazing career experiences along the way. So my love of coffee meant that I accidentally fell into coffee and began working as an area manager for Cafe Nero when I left university. After that brief spell, my first proper job was with the then Dixon's Car Phone, now Curry's PC World, initially as a site merchandiser before forging my way into paid search and affiliates. This took me to several Aegis Dentsu agencies in London, working on paid and organic search for some big brands. After a brief hiatus of setting up and selling a telco, I really didn't have much of an idea about what I was doing. And the silver lining was the BlackBerry latest release of that year, which meant that I kind of found that North Star. I returned back to Curry's PC World to look after their affiliate program. I had no affiliate experience at the time. But this is where I think I really pivoted from marketing to product. I joined Amazon a few years later in the glamorous Slough. I was responsible for price comparison sites for the EU businesses on the Amazon Associates program. I managed the APIs, product feeds, and automation for the partners, as well as the loyalty segment. I found myself working on business rules and logic rather than the more marketing side of things. And that was really when I think probably wasn't known to me then, but that was really when I was doing products rather than marketing. Fun fact was, and slightly ironic, was I was responsible for the termination of the Amazon Nectar relationship back in 2012. Whilst at Amazon, I somehow accidentally set up an online gifting e-commerce business, allsweets.com, which in 2013 allowed me to make the decision to quit the day job and focus on that full time. I used the profits to buy my share of the house with my husband in Hertfordshire before selling the business whilst the going was good. I then did some consultancy and then joined Tesco, where I looked after commercialization and brought sponsored products to Tesco Direct and groceries, and also kickstarted the in-store digital shopping journeys, aiming to bring cohesion between online shopping and in-store shopping for smaller top-up shops. Then Australia came along and the world of property portals. Complete accident. My husband was offered a role in Australia, and of course we couldn't say no. I begrudgingly left Tesco with no job lined up, and whilst I was in a few interview loops, the chief product officer of realestate.com.au, that's a Murdoch/news company, called me, and she arranged for me to have an interview. And I think I've been in their building about 5 minutes when she shouted, "F me, it's Ed Sheeran," down the hallway of their very super cool Melbourne offices. So I didn't think about running away at the time, but I'm really pleased I didn't. So I got to work on some great agent-specific products that challenge the norm. So this is really in a time where property portals globally were targeting agencies as opposed to the individual selling agents. So my love of commerce, particularly e-commerce and physical products, drew me to Aesop. So that's a skincare company, basically rich people. So for a brief stint where I led products, programs and UX globally with the teams in Australia, Europe and US. After a very unplanned, prolonged trip back to the UK, I ended up working with my old Tesco boss at Racing Post on some more strategic work on subscriptions. Went back to Australia for a brief spell, returned to REA, and then moved to Zoopla after moving back to the UK permanently in 2019. An interesting time, obviously, of the pandemic, where we pivoted several times owing to what was going on. I mean, virtual viewings literally shot up overnight, and also looking at how, in a I think unprecedented time, you could really add value for home builders and estate agents. And then on to the now, when I heard about the role at IAG Loyalty, and knowing who they were, having been an Avios fanboy for the last 10 years, and when Avios was still air miles, I jumped at the chance. My love of loyalty and the plight for keeping gold status has made me do a few extreme things over the years. One was having a friend who was an ex-BA colleague help me find the cheapest way to get the tier points I needed to get gold status at the time. Using the hotline back in 2011, I think, I ended up traveling overnight to Moscow, spent the day there, and then came back the following evening. It worked, and I even got upgraded to first class on the 747 and had champagne with Vinnie Jones and Robson Green, which was fun. Nice. And I also bought up, I think, some of the last remaining physical air miles from eBay when they were phased out about 11 years ago. And David and I spent hours typing in these long serial numbers into the then Air Miles to Avios platform. So, yeah, some really good times.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds super interesting. So we're going to jump over to our Q&A questions now, David. So I've got one from Richard Brockbank here. So what's a typical day, week, month, year like for a few of the main roles at IAG Loyalty? So like software engineers, data, etc.
Yes, I think, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but I think no 2 days are definitely the same. If I take my platform team, so they're responsible for the back end of the e-store and the card linking mechanisms. Typically, they've been working on new integrations with some of our big shopping partners. So Bicester Village is one way where our members can collect Avios. They've been working on a much more slicker integration and something that's more strategic and how we actually build a product rather than just a capability. But on another day, they'll be working on our partner manager product or APIs that serve some of our bigger partners, as well as some of our smaller partners, and making that collection mechanism as frictionless as possible. If I look at our collect.com team, so that's a team responsible for eStore, again, you know, they're working across a combination of back-end capabilities, front-end. Someday it could be building out the new partner pages, which is something we're heavily involved in at the moment. Implementing Datadog and analytics so that we have really good visibility on how our products are performing is something they've also been involved in recently. And then if I look at our exchange team, I think one of the big things was the integration with the Qatar Privilege Club, which enables our members to transfer points between the, say, British Airways Executive Club and Qatar Privilege Club. That again was a long piece of work in the making. You know, a lot of work there with various parts of the business, various different data teams within the business, to then stabilizing the platform so that what we build again is more product focused, so that, you know, in the future other partners can come along and integrate easily with us.
Cool, thanks for that. And another question we've got from Richard again. So how are the team interactions and team spirit? Is there any like team building activities, for example?
There is, and I think we're obviously coming out of a really challenging time with the pandemic and everyone working remotely. We have a regular monthly cadence where we have product all hands, which is where all of the product teams and tech teams, we're all seen as one, come together in person at our London Victoria offices. We go through things like our OHI scores. We do active retros regularly. We have guest speakers. And, you know, we've got a big summer event coming up, which again will be the first time we've had anything like this since pre-pandemic. You know, the way my team interact, we have regular team meetings every Thursday. We also have wider meetings with the other clubs. A club is basically what we call a tribe within the business. So there's lots of interaction and cohesion with the other clubs and teams within the business. But I think even in a remote place, and like I said, I'm still relatively new, the team spirit's definitely high. I think it's really good to see that interaction even in a remote environment. Obviously, you can't beat that face-to-face contact, but I think IAGL have done a really good job maintaining that team spirit.
And just a question from myself, in regards to your like hybrid remote working policy, have you still got people in the office or is it fully remote?
No, complete hybrid setup. So if I use myself as an example, I'm typically in the office 2 to 3 days a week. And if I look at my team, that's pretty common. We've got a really nice office in Victoria, where we've got pretty much a whole floor there. So it's really engaging to see so many people back there. And I think certainly from the feedback I've got, people enjoy going in. I know if I use myself as an example, having worked at the previous company where we were all remote for so long, I really embrace going in, and I think the rest of the team do too.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I love coming into the office. Cool. And you've touched on this a little bit, but I'll ask the question anyway. How collaborative is the work in your engineering teams?
It's really collaborative. And I think if I take my club as an example and some of the, I think, more tricky challenges we've tried to solve, it won't, you know, if I take collect.com and the eStore and some of the challenges they've had, trying to bring the eStore platform forward, it's never done in silo. And I know that team within the club will talk to other tech leads, they'll talk to other engineers. We've got a lot of industry expertise and people within the teams who have worked within the business and the industry for a long time, who are often able to unblock us and help us move faster. And not just within our club. I mean, there's a lot of experience within the business. So I think, and I'm not an engineer, but I always get the impression that the engineers know exactly where to go or have that support on hand if they're blocked. And I think, you know, that's testament to us not working in silos, that we do have this really good collaborative setup.
And just on the teams, how big are the engineering teams at IAG Loyalty?
So we have a mix of contract engineers and permanent. If I look at my team, it's made up of about 7 product owners and there's about 40 or 50 engineers. I know the rewards platform has even more than that. I think probably going on close to 100 with a mix of product and engineering. But in total, our company is about 400 people. Product and engineering is obviously one of the larger functions. And that's really where we leverage our contractor base, because it gives us the ability to scale up and scale down as and when we need more people.
Definitely. And in your career, David, how important has the tech community been for you?
Really, really important. I think particularly in Australia. And, you know, when I started working for realestate.com, that was the first pure play tech company I'd worked for. And suddenly I was exposed to so many of the great things out there, like the communities, like the meetups. And it was, I think, probably testament to Australia, it was so easy to get involved. And realestate.com, being one of the businesses that was part of the big four tech companies, had a really good rotation with other companies both in Melbourne and Sydney. And then when I came back to London, I was really keen to keep that going. I'm really keen to get exposed to as much as I can. Obviously, I didn't expect the pandemic to hit, which has made in-person events a bit harder, but there's enough out there to read. There's enough content out there to consume. But I think definitely staying engaged with that community, particularly from hiring great talent perspective, is so important.
Yeah, definitely. And on the topic of hiring, what could a candidate expect in the interview process for one of the roles at IAG Loyalty?
So we try to keep the interview process as slick and as easy as possible. We don't believe in long or prolonged interview processes. It would usually be an initial chat with Marlon or one of our recruiters. If it was a role within my team for a permanent position, it would probably be an initial 30-minute chat. I would then have one of the other product owners or myself pair with one of the other heads of product and probably spend an hour or so speaking with them. Might include an engineering interview as well, just to understand how they would work with the engineering team. But then we aim to do a wash up pretty quickly and then come back to the candidate quickly, just so everyone knows where they are.
Cool, sounds good. And obviously, you've touched on the migration phase at IAG Loyalty at the moment. How is it moving from a legacy system, and how are you able to shape the roadmap with more modern technologies, would you say?
So I guess maybe we have a slight unfair advantage in that we are a smaller company, albeit within a bigger organization. So we're kind of responsible for our own tech to a degree. And that's made what we do so much easier. If I look at some of the platforms we've got, like collect.com and eStore, moving them, or rather the last remaining parts, to AWS systems rather than being on-prem, it's not been too difficult. I can imagine with some of the other teams who I know have gone through bigger migrations, it's certainly been more challenging. But for our iterative agile approach and being able to break it up into smaller components, the teams have definitely done it in a more controlled way.
Cool. And David, we've had some people recently joining the stream. I know you've touched on this, but could you go through the tech stack that you guys use, and what training programs do you have for junior developers who are hungry to grow their skill and mindset more?
Of course. So we've got the apprenticeship program, and within my team, we've got, I think, 2 apprentices who are currently within the exchange team. So that enables them to do a rotation within the wider IAG business, and they get to spend time with us. From a training perspective, we have a very generous training budget, which, as long as there's a clear justification for why one of the team would want to do something, then the world's their oyster. Whether it's, for example, learning about DynamoDB or Lambdas or API gateways, or getting involved in new stacks that they haven't necessarily got involved in before, the training is there. And also learning from each other, I guess, might not be exactly the same as a proper training course, but those things are on hand.
Cool. And touching back on your time in Australia, obviously you've worked in the Australian market and the UK market. What would you say the pros and cons are of each?
So I think it did feel at times where Australia was slightly behind us, particularly from a product perspective. I felt when I moved there in 2017, and the kind of setup with the company I work for that had squads and tribes was more of the kind of textbook product setup, particularly when I joined the retailer. That was slightly different because they weren't a tech company, but they were trying to adapt agile ways of working into a very traditional retail company.
Yeah.
I still think the UK is ahead in some ways, other than banking. I mean, banking in Australia and that whole sector as well felt light years ahead of where we are here, which is really quite amazing. When we moved there, trying to do everything you want to do seamlessly from a banking and finance perspective just seems so much easier. But I don't know, I feel there's probably a lot more parity now than there was. I think definitely in terms of the training offered out in Australia, there was so much.
Cool. And what's the most exciting project you're currently working on at IAG Loyalty, would you say?
So I know I've already given it a plug, but I think the relaunch of the prepaid MasterCard, that one's fun
Yeah.
because I've never been involved in a kind of financial service product as closely as I am here. That's really exciting. And also eStore, the ability for our members to collect Avios through John Lewis, through Marks and Spencer's. I think I really like that, and I have an affinity to it because it takes me back to my roots of affiliate marketing. And I think aspiring to kind of be the Google of the shopping world for Avios collectors, which is let's get them on and off our site as quickly as possible and then get them back so we make collecting Avios as habitual as possible for them.
Cool. And obviously you've touched on this again, but if you could elaborate in regards to like learning and development plans within the company, let's just say even like senior software engineers, do you have like external training or courses or anything you can offer for your internal teams?
We do indeed, and we don't have prescribed or set external courses. I know our talent team do a great job aligning the relevant people within the business with the training needs that they have. If I use some of my team as an example, and bearing in mind my background is product, there's the Roman Pitchler course I'm sending a few of my team on just to, I think, become pros at Agile and Scrum ways of working. And I know the same kind of things for our tech leads exist as well, including sending them on conferences if it's relevant to what they're doing and relevant to us as a business.
Cool. And what advice would you give someone new who wants to break into tech? Do you have any like resources that you'd suggest?
I think just keep consuming everything that's out there. If it's apprentice programs, if it's grad programs, if it's joining a company that's interesting to you, just do it. I think even if you don't necessarily get traction the first time or you don't get a foot in the door, don't give up. My entry to Curry's PC world into site merchandising and search marketing was because I had a passion for tech, as I mentioned. They happen to be in Hemel Hempstead, which is fairly close to where I am.
Yeah.
And I got to know the relevant people inside the company, and that's how I ended up starting to work there. And I think the same is true for companies today. I don't think anything is out of the realms of possible. I think in such a connected world now, where we've got the tools like LinkedIn, where people can connect you with relevant people, I think it's so important just to make those connections and just be persistent.
Definitely. No, I completely agree. So we've got a question here from Sandeep. So Sandeep is currently based in India, looking for an overseas job. How would you apply, from your personal experience, or how would you apply for overseas jobs and prepare for an interview?
So if it's specific to our company, I would have to refer Sandeep to our people team. That's one thing I'm not too familiar with. If I use my experience, and this was moving to Australia, case study of one, I didn't have a job lined up. I used the relevant job sites, LinkedIn, to make those connections before I went. Never in a million years did I think I'd be working for a property portal. I love houses. I love walking past big houses, but never really was the thing that engaged me that much. But it's product and it was tech, and I got to know about the big companies out there, of which realestate.com was one. So it was through connections. The job I really wanted wasn't the job I got, but it was through a connection that I ended up working where I did. So I think if you can do the groundwork before you come to another country and you can make those connections, then do it. I think if you are already on that journey to moving to another country, then just make sure either when you land or before you get here that you start to forge those connections. It just makes, in my experience, things a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that as well. And we've got a question from Kevin here. Are you currently looking for apprentices or offer like an apprenticeship scheme within the company? Do you know?
That one I will have to get the team to feedback on. So I may have mentioned, I think I mentioned apprenticeships before. We have the grad program, and that's the people who are within my team as opposed to apprentices. But I do think we do, or certainly within the wider business. I'm sure one of the team on the chat can help me with that one.
Cool, no worries. And just one more sort of from the tech side. How do you ensure that your framework at IAG Loyalty is scalable?
So cloud-based is definitely one way to do that. And that's certainly from the success I've seen within my teams is how we've been able to do that. So being able to scale up or scale down based on the current needs that we have. So if I take our eStore platform and how we've extended that from initially British Airways to the other operating companies, we've built that in a scalable way. And that means we essentially have one code base, one tech stack that we can reskin and align the branding of the different airlines to that product as and when we need to. So we're always, or at least I hope we're always looking to build things for the future, not just for the now. I think one of the really smart things about our business and being loyalty pioneers is that we're not just looking at what we have today, but looking at what the future could be without definite certainty, but having that lens when we build our products.
Cool. And finally, David, a question for myself. What would you say the most satisfying thing is in your position at the moment?
Definitely the team. And again, I don't mean to sound cliche, but I've got to know the team I have now. I've got to know them all on a relatively personal basis, even though we've, for the majority of the time been remote. Understanding how each and every team member ticks, understanding what engages them, what makes them happy, and how we work collaboratively. I think as anyone in my position would probably tell you, that's got to be the most rewarding thing.
Cool. And David, unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's gone super quickly, but I just want to appreciate your time today and giving us some super interesting insights into your position and your obviously career history and the future of IAG Loyalty. So yeah, I just want to thank you again for being part of DevLab.